Play. Hey everybody, this is Thaddeus.
And Heidi.
And we're here today to talk about
how EMF affects people that we know and us.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just get started.
Okay.
So I am sensitive to EMF, not as sensitive as many people, but what I notice is when I'm using my phone for a little bit and I'm scrolling through Instagram or something, I start to get a lot of tingling sensation in my fingers and then my hand, and especially on the finger that I wear my Aura ring, which is kind of like a technology-based ring that has some EMF, although it's always turned on airplane mode when I have it in. But that's like where it started for me, was in that finger. I wore this kind of tracking ring, kind of like a Fitbit, but it's a ring.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
but it has infrared light, so there's no like.
You can turn it on airplane mode, and while it's on, and it has infrared light that reads all that data from your vessels instead of blue light like a Fitbit and a Whoop and some other devices have.
Because there'll be comments about that.
Yeah, those you can't turn on airplane mode for the most part, and they put blue light and green light right into your vessels, which is no good.
We talked about that in another course.
Circadian biology. Okay, so the other way that it affects me is two ways. One is if the Wi-Fi router is on at night or there's a lot of EMF in the environment, I have a lot harder time falling asleep and staying asleep. I wake up a lot. And so we've kind of mapped that out many times, and it simply works every time. Whether I know the Wi-Fi is on or not, my body senses that when I sleep, and then I wake up. And it happened when we were at an Airbnb where we woke up a lot, didn't get the greatest sleep, and we noticed from our Aura ring data, so O-U-R-A is the Aura ring, in case anyone's wondering and hadn't heard of it, but it's just like a tracker. It mostly tracks sleep, but it tracks our body temperature during sleep. And we noticed that my body temperature was up almost a full degree that night. So we were trying to figure out, like, why was I getting sick? I didn't feel sick. I felt great. And we found out there was a Wi-Fi router right under our bed in our bedroom that was on all night. We didn't see it because we came in late the night before. We turned that off. The next night, my body temperature went right back to normal, and the sleep was way better.
Yeah.
So that's how I personally am affected. And then I have a son, my oldest son, who's still only 9, but when the Wi-Fi is on or he's around a lot of Wi-Fi, whether on a tablet or the router is on all night, he gets nosebleeds, severe nosebleeds, every single day when that is on. And when we get the router off at night, especially when he's at other people's homes or he's not on his tablet, no nosebleeds whatsoever. And then he also will wake up multiple times during the night and have awful sleep and eventually wake up at 4:30 in the morning. As soon as we turn that Wi-Fi router off, his sleep has been so much better, where he's not waking up and he's getting up at like 6 o'clock every morning, which is great.
Crazy. Oh, well, not crazy.
That's just
yeah,
it does affect people even if they don't even know
Right.
that it's a thing.
So my son, he's 16. When he started taking his phone out of his pocket, he used to get this rash all over his legs, and it would be like big red. It was almost like welts, and it would show up on his thighs and like on the back of his thighs. And we were like, you should probably take your cell phone out of your pocket. And he noticed that to this day, he has never had a rash since then.
Since he took his phone out.
Since he took his phone out. And he doesn't. He wears it, puts it in a little sleeve now, or else he just keeps it. I've noticed too that since he realized that, his own self-realization, he actually doesn't use his phone as much either. So, and for my own, I used to have like kind of a weird heart palpitation. I could tell a lot of times when I was like in the bathtub and I'd be laying down, I could feel my heart like kind of do a little flutter thing. And ever since we stopped turning we started turning the Wi-Fi off at night, I don't have that. I don't remember last time I had it. So a lot of weird, quirky things that Wi-Fi and microwave radiation kind of play a part of our circadian biology and how our bodies work, exacerbate those things, right? Like how...
Yeah, so we hear a lot about anxiety, depression, and insomnia, as well as learning and behavioral issues, ADHD and other things, when you put a Wi-Fi router in every single classroom. So we were just at the Attorney General's office, and one of the schools here locally has a Wi-Fi router in every single classroom. And I think that's pretty typical now of schools. They are industrial strength Wi-Fi routers. They can connect to 289 devices at once. And there's only 30 kids in a classroom. And every classroom has one. They could probably get away with 5 routers for the whole school, but they've got one in every single room, blasting just so much radiation. And so these learning and behavioral issues and anxiety and depression, that can definitely be exacerbated, that we have seen research on from microwave radiation, to the point where we've got some friends that are nationally known people that lived in their car for 5 years in like a radiation-free zone in West Virginia, where they've got these big satellites monitoring things from the sky, so there can't be anything, cell phone, cordless phones, Wi-Fi, nothing like that can exist in that area. So they would live there to try to heal before they could come back into kind of the real world with better biology to be, more resistant to this microwave radiation. So it can really affect people negatively, and some people are just way more sensitive, and some kids are more sensitive. And as we look into the issues they have, one of the things to look into is like, well, what happens when you turn off the Wi-Fi router and get technology away for a little bit? Do the kids get better?
Well, I think insomnia is another big one. Sleep issues.
A third of Americans self-report that they have insomnia, and that's just people that are reporting. So we know that's over 100 million people just in our country having insomnia. Now, it's not all related to microwave radiation, but when you've got 100 million people that can't sleep at night, there's a problem.
Right. All right. Thanks for listening.